Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalatu wassalam ala rasulihil kareem wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Amma ba'd. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Hope everyone is doing well, inshallah. In these last nights or and days of the month of Ramadan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us to witness some of the greatest nights of the year. So take full advantage of these nights and do whatever you can in ibadah so we can finish Ramadan as strong as we can, inshallah. Well, welcome back to another Q&A edition that we have. We are live on our Islamic Foundation of Greater St. Louis YouTube page, as well as our Facebook page, and on Instagram as well. So I wanted to if anyone has any other question to put in the comments, please type it in and we'll see, inshallah, what we can answer towards the end. First question has to do with the aspect of Zakatul Fitr, Sadaqatul Fitr. One brother asked that my daughter is less than 2 years old, so do we have to give Zakatul Fitr on her behalf? If not, then at what age do we have to? So yes, when it comes to Zakatul Fitr or Sadaqatul Fitr, the rule is different than is for Zakatul Mal. For Zakatul Fitr, even if you have minor children, then the one who is the guardian of the minor children, they should pay the Zakatul Fitr on behalf of the child. If the child has their own wealth, it is permissible to use their wealth to pay the Zakatul Fitr from that. But if the guardian wishes to pay on their behalf from their own wealth, then that is something which they are, of course, allowed to do. So Sadaqatul Fitr or Zakatul Fitr, yes, you pay for it on behalf of minor children as well. And again, if the minor child has their own wealth, it is permitted to use that for this cause. If not, then the guardian may pay on their behalf. But again, the ruling is different for Zakatul Mal. When we talk about the general aspect of Zakah on its own, a minor child, even if they have the amount of nisab or more, they do not have to pay Zakah. We're talking about Zakatul Mal over here. So the ruling is different when it comes to Zakatul Fitr versus Zakatul Mal. Okay, next question by another brother. Is it permissible to use a boar bristle brush to comb the beard? And if one uses it, would the Salah be accepted? So we know the boar bristles, of course, the boar is in the family of the khinzir or the pig. And we know the pig is considered to be najisul ayn, considered filthy, which means that every part of the animal is considered filthy. And pig is such that even if you try to tan the skin of the pig, it will not become pure, unlike other types of animals that is mentioned in the fiqh books. So it would not be permissible to use boar bristle brush. And these are very common because of the fact that these are very, very soft bristles, but they do make synthetic bristles that are not made from any animal nowadays. So that is something that you can definitely look into. But now, let's say if a person did use a boar bristle brush that was dry, and if they touched their skin with that. In this particular case, a transfer of impurity would not occur between the skin and the brush if that would happen. So as such, the prayers would not be deemed invalid. But a lot of times when people are combing after a shower or whatnot, it's wet. So now if a person used a boar bristle brush to comb their beard and it's wet, and they keep using that, now in that case, the ulama say that yes, there will be a transfer of impurity between that brush and between a part of the body, which is the hair. So in this case, then of course the affected area must be washed to remove that aspect of impurity. But at the end of the day, do not use such a brush. Use something which is synthetic. Okay, next question. Is it allowed to cater baked goods or food to events where impermissible actions may take place? Yeah, this is a good question, and it's a question that comes up often as well. Now, the job of the caterer is to simply prepare the food and to give the food. Now, what the customer does with the food or what they're celebrating in their occasion, the caterer has no responsibility for that. So therefore, it is allowed for the caterer to prepare food and to deliver to whatever event, and the income for them would be halal and permissible to do so. And this kind of comes in line. It makes me remember of another mas'ala. I remember when we were doing ifta, we answered some of these questions, and if you look in the books of fiqh, you can see some of the answers to this. One of the common questions that used to come up was, if you have a store, if you have like a store, or if you have a property that you rent out to someone, and if they're using that store for some haram, or if they're selling haram or whatnot, then is the person who's renting it out, are they responsible for that? The answer is no. That your income will be halal because you're simply just renting it out to them, and whatever they choose to do in there, that is something which is they're responsible for that, not the one who is basically renting it out to the other person. So that is kind of in line with that mas'ala. Okay, is it a sunnah to break the fast with the combination of dates as well as cucumber? To break the fast with a combination of dates and a cucumber. Now, there is a hadith that is in Sahih Muslim where Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, it's narrated by Abdullah ibn Ja'far radiallahu anh. He says, رَأَيْتُ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمْ يَأْكُلُ الْقِثَاءَ بِالرُّطَبِ. He says that I saw Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam eating fresh dates with cucumbers as a combination. I guess you can say because of the hot type of food with something which is cool. But this hadith over here, it seems to be more of a general sense of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam eating both of them together. We know that when it comes to hadith, there are particular hadith that talk about the aspect of breaking one's fast. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, I'll mention a couple of hadith over here, narrated by Anas radiallahu anhu. He says, قال كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يفطر قبل أن يصلي على رطبان فإن لم تكن رطبات sorry يصلي على رطوبات فإن لم تكن رطوبات فتميرات فإن لم تكن تميرات hasawat mimma. So he says that basically that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he would break his fast before praying with fresh dates. But if there were no fresh dates, then he would break them with dry dates. And if those were not even available, then he would sip water. So this hadith doesn't have any mention of cucumber in it. As far as another hadith is concerned, narrated by Salman ibn Amr, he says that قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا أفطر أحدكم فليفطر على تمر فإنه بركة فمن لم يجد فليفطر على ماء فإنه طهور. He says that Rasulullah ﷺ said, when one of you breaks his fast, let him break it with dates, for they are blessed. And if they are not found, let him break it with water, for it is pure. So you don't have a mentioning of cucumber over here. But if a person does break their fast with dates, and if they have some cucumber with it, you can make the dua also for following that sunnah, since it is a sunnah that's mentioned in another hadith. Okay, the next question is that I started performing qada of the salah that I missed throughout my life. I wanted to know if I can perform my qada salah in place of tahajjud salah. And if I do so, would it count as tahajjud, or should I pray nafil separately for tahajjud? So the person is basically asking that if they pray their qada salah at the time of tahajjud, then would it count also as they're getting the reward of tahajjud even though they're praying their qada salah? Now, first of all, for those who are trying to make up their salahs that they have missed in the past, we commend you for making such an effort to do so. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for all of those who are doing that. Now, if you do perform a qada salah at the time of tahajjud salah, then inshallah you will receive the reward of performing the tahajjud salah as well. You make that intention. Of course, we advise that make the priority qada salah. And this is, of course, if a person has so many qada salahs that it's very difficult to perform other salahs, prioritize qada salah. And if you pray at the time of tahajjud, inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being al-Kareem, that He will reward you for that. Now, just remember that at the end of the day, the person is making the sacrifice of forsaking the bed. As Allah says in Surah Sajdah, تَتَجَافَى جُنُوبُهُمْ عَنِ الْمَضَاجِعِ يَدْعُونَ رَبَّهُمْ خَوْفًا وَطَمْعًا وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. So that sacrifice is being made. They're forsaking their bed to pray the salah. Even though they're doing qada at that time, make that niyyah that you are also wanting the reward of tahajjud salah, and inshallah, you will get that reward as well. Okay, another question that comes up at the end of Ramadan. If one has many missed fasts of the month of Ramadan, can they combine the intention of 6 fasts of Shawwal with the qada of the missed fasts? Now, this comes, of course, from the hadith that talks about those who fast the days of Ramadan and they follow it up with 6 days of Shawwal, then it is as if, subhanAllah, they have fasted like the whole year, and they are given that particular type of reward. So the ulama do mention that if a person who especially has a lot of qada fast to make up, if they do the combination of the intention of the qada fast with the combination of the nafil fast of the Shawwal fast, it is permissible to do so, although performing separately is more rewarding. it's more rewarding because they are separating it out. And one may also do qada fast on days such as Mondays and Thursdays when it is sunnah to fast, or for example, the white days of the month, which are the days in which the moon is at its brightest, the middle days of the month, which are the 13th, 14th, and the 15th of the lunar month. And inshallah, one will get the rewards for fasting those days as well, even though they're doing qada of their fasts of the month of Ramadan. Okay, a question that has been coming up right now, especially with the situation that's going on in India with the COVID-19 pandemic and the severity of it in India right now. Can zakat funds be used to purchase oxygen cylinders and ventilators for hospitals? Now, obviously, supporting people who are in extremely dire need is very noble, but we must make sure that everything is done in accordance to Islamic principles, right? So zakat, of course, as we know, is primarily the right of the needy and poor Muslims. And the way to do it is that they must be given tamlik, or full ownership of the money that or whatever items that are purchased for them. Zakat, it cannot be used for general projects, and this is the opinion of a majority of the ulama, that it cannot be used for general communal projects such as building masajid or building hospitals or anything like that. Now, if the hospitals would retain the ownership of these oxygen cylinders and the ventilators that are greatly needed, which generally is the case, then zakat cannot be used to purchase these particular items, even if the ultimate beneficiaries are poor Muslims, because there is a chance that they may not be a poor Muslim, and then the zakat would not be used properly. So non-zakat funds should be used generally. But let me make another couple of points here. First of all, zakat can be used to purchase things like medicine or food or things like that, which is given directly to poor Muslims who have needs of those particular things. So now if the hospital makes a provision for a poor Muslim patient to use a oxygen cylinder, which is owned by the hospital, if they say, no, we guarantee that this will be used by one who is zakat eligible, then in that case, it would be permissible to do that. But the thing is, it has to be done for sure. And secondly, we know that hospitals can also charge patients high amount of fees, and they use the fees to cover the treatment costs. So zakat, what can be done is they can be given to the poor Muslims. Zakat can be given to the Muslims who can use it from their side to pay for their treatment costs if they wish to do so. But it is also permissible for hospitals to take consent from poor Muslims, from poor Muslim patients, and collect zakat on their behalf, so that when they do get treated, they would use that zakat money to pay for their fees on their behalf. And this is kind of similar to what we see when it comes to Islamic schools and seminaries for poor students who cannot afford the tuition fees. As long as the administration gets the consent of those who are zakat eligible that they can use it for their fees, then it would be permissible for them to use it in that particular way. So that is a way that it is permissible to do that. Okay, next question is, a person who has no mental capacity has money from benefits and inheritance. Can his guardians give charity on his behalf from his wealth? And they mentioned that when he was in good health, he would be a person who would regularly give charity. Also, can they use this money to invest in a property so that he receives a regular source of income? So the answer to this is that the money belonging to a person who has no mental capacity can only be spent on their needs and what serves in their best personal and financial interest in the world. So the default position is that charity or gifts cannot be given from it, as it requires the consent of the person. However, if a person had a habit of being regular with charity, then they do mention it is permissible for the guardians to give charity on his behalf from his wealth. However, the following conditions must be mentioned. Number one, that all of the inheritors that who would benefit from this money later on, if the person were to pass away, that they give their consent. Secondly, the amount does not exceed his habit of what he used to donate in previous times. And thirdly, that he has sufficient money left over for his needs. That is very important as well. So that is something that that has to be remembered. Now, when it comes to the aspect of investing in a property for the benefit of the person who has no mental capacity, then it is permissible to do so as long as it is in the best interest of that person. So we have to remember things like the investment should be something like low risk, and it should be carefully considered by someone who is an expert in that field. And the person also must not be disadvantaged in any way whatsoever, because if they are, then the person who is the guardian for that, they will be considered sinful. That's considered a great sin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about, for example, even the orphans in the Quran in plenty of places, that those who are responsible for orphans, if the guardians misuse their wealth, then it is something that's considered a major sin in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that is the answer to that particular question. Okay, let me just check over here. Okay, I don't see any questions. MashaAllah. I got a comment here. Mufti Asif for the win. Jazakallah khair. Appreciate that. May Allah give us all the ability to be victorious and winners in this blessed month of Ramadan. Really, really appreciate that particular comment. Jazakallah khair. I don't see any other questions that are posted in the live chat or in the or in Facebook or anywhere. So we will end there today. But again, before we end, we always say that if you have any questions, please send me an email, mufti@islamstl.org, or you can send me a message on Instagram @stlimam. You can send me a message there, and inshallah, I'll try to answer those as well and to go over those as well. Okay, I just received a question right now. Can you explain zakatul mal? Do we have to do it once in a life or every year? So zakatul mal is such that if you maintain. Now, let me start by saying that once a person who is baligh, who is mature, once they have the amount of nisab in their possession, then from that day on, that is going to be your zakat date. So in 1 year from that time, as long as you have the nisab amount or more, even if the wealth fluctuates back and forth, as long as you don't lose it completely. If you have the amount of nisab on your zakat due date, then you have to pay zakat once a year. Every year, you have to calculate 2.5% of everything that you have. And if you have any particular questions, the sister who is asking, if you have any particular questions about your zakat or how to calculate your zakat and the assets that you have, please contact me privately, and inshallah, I will try to help you out with that. Oh, mashallah, Mufti Wasim, Jazakallah khair for joining. How are you, brother? I hope everything is well. Mufti Saab, what's the best way to maintain consistency? Consistency in? I'm not sure what the reference is in that, but inshallah, if you can clarify that, then I can answer that. Otherwise, hope everything is well, inshallah. Mufti Wasim Khan, mashallah, in Dallas, Texas, a very, very good friend of mine, and mashallah, doing some great work out there. Jazakallah khair. So inshallah, I think we will end over there. I don't see any other questions that have come in. So again, if you have any questions, send me an email, mufti@islamstl.org. Also, and on Instagram @stlimam. I will try my best to answer. Just wanted to end by also saying that remember, for our brothers and sisters from the Islamic Foundation, this Saturday, the 27th night of Ramadan, we have our annual fundraiser, drive-through fundraiser, inshallah, from 5 to 7. Please come and pick up an iftar box, donate personally. You can also donate through Zelle. We'll also have an online program where you can call in and you can donate, inshallah. This is a great cause, as we know, the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to inshallah maintain our spiritual needs in our community. So please, inshallah, join us and donate generously and finish out Ramadan as strong as we can. Wa jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.